Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chat Channel. My name is Tim Hayden, and I'll be your host. We have a super show for you today. Our guest is the multi-talented and hilarious Paul Witten. Paul is a writer, producer, and actor. He starred in many shows like All Rise, Lethal Weapon, Dropping the Soap, The Morning Show, and more. Most recently, you'll find him in the hit movie That's Amor, which is streaming on Netflix. Please welcome Paul to the show. Welcome to the show, Paul. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to my multi-purpose office / self-tape room / guest room / everything. Thank you for having me.
It looks like, see, I have a curtain I pulled to hide mine.
Yeah, I have a curtain you can see right there.
Oh, yes.
Behind my door, but I didn't want it to be, open. So I went to Home Depot and I got a tension rod that goes across my entire wall, and then I can just open it and close it as needed and then hide it behind the door.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do here. I'm in the living room, so you can't see the back part there.
We all had to get creative, right, with COVID to figure out.
Definitely. It was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah.
So how have you been doing, sir?
I've been doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
Doing well. I usually start out way back in the beginning, what it was like for you growing up,
Gosh, well, I'm an LA
nothing too
native.
deep.
I won't, yeah, trust me. That'd be a very different show. I'm an LA native and I've lived here most of my life. I did live briefly in Chesterfield, Missouri, and Germantown, Tennessee, because my mom remarried a few times. And so as a young'un, I guess preteen and early teens, for a few years, I was out of LA. But for the most part, I'm a native. I love LA. And I've lived in the same house now for a long time. So I'm a real roots kind of person. Because I didn't have that growing up, I think I desire that as an adult. So I picked acting, which is really smart.
And it's easier. You don't have to worry about moving or
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I hear people saying they're moving. I'm like, nope, I'm busy. Sorry.
Right. Right.
So when did you know acting was what you wanted to do? I mean, you do more than that, but I'll start out with the acting.
Yeah, when I think the first memory I have is probably around 5 or 6. It was basically always something I knew I wanted to do. I think I would watch, the Carol Burnett show. My mom would watch it and I'd see it. And she was so genius and so funny, and it made me laugh. And I knew that's what I want to do. I want to make people on the other side of this machine we're all looking at. I want to make them laugh. And I'd see movies and, a little boy, and I saw King Kong and Jessica Lange, and I thought she was so beautiful and it was so epic. And I don't know why I thought of that movie, but seeing movies growing up, I just love the fantasy, the escape of it all, and the storytelling, essentially.
I could see where you kind of got the Carol Burnett part, because most of your material is just hilarious. I mean, it's great.
Thank you. That's a huge and I got to meet her, and it was really one of the most wonderful meetings I had with someone that I didn't know, and it was a celebrity, because she was so warm, took an interest in me, which I'm like, I'm not that interested. I want to talk about you. But it was a really nice exchange of both of us wanting to learn about each other. And that was just heartwarming, because I grew up just loving her.
Carol Burnett's probably one of my top guests that I want to have on the show.
Yeah, she's
great.
She's great. Amazing.
I mean, the three redheads at that time were, Carol Burnett, Lucille Ball, and Vicki Lawrence. I mean,
oh yeah, and then that's the night the lights went out in Georgia. Yes. Imagine my surprise when I heard that's Vicki Lawrence singing that song.
Right. You just
you're right.
Imagine.
And Lucille Ball. I mean, I remember being really young, and when I'd be sick or miss a school day, I lived to just sit and watch the Lucy reruns. I mean, I still do. If I ever happen to catch one, I can't not watch. you
Well,
know.
they did a biopic on her recently, which they did a really good job. I'm glad because
Oh, the Nicole
there,
Kidman one.
yes, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they showed that she stood up to the men
Yeah,
at that time. And I was afraid they wouldn't portray that, and they did a very good job at that.
yeah, yeah. I saw that too. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was. I mean, I love behind the scenes stuff, obviously. So it was that kind of stuff already has a go for me.
Right. Yes, for sure. So, do you remember what your first acting job was? I mean, on
Professional,
screen?
like where I got paid,
Professional.
I do, and it was an under five on the soap opera General Hospital.
Under
And I had
five.
played a dead body in an old movie with Whoopi Goldberg called Fatal Beauty. And I think I might have been, I feel like I was an extra, like a featured extra. I don't know if I'm credited or not, but I was like a teenager who'd overdosed. And so I'm hanging from a stairway with foam coming out of my mouth. And it was like Whoopi Goldberg and Sam Elliott in the scene. And it was one of the first sets that I had been on. So it was really exciting. But I don't think I spoke. I can't remember. It's so long ago. But soap opera, General Hospital, Under Five, and it was a show that I watched religiously. So I
Yeah.
kind of had manifested it, even down to the woman that I got to work with in the scene, who I love, Robin Bernard. I don't know if you remember her, but
Yes, I
yeah,
do.
she played Terry Brock O'Connor, and she sang on the show, and she was wonderful. I thought she was so beautiful, and I thought, well, I want to get on a show with her and do it. That's exactly what happened.
Well, you went on. I mean, I know I'm skipping a bunch that you did, but I really want to talk about one show that I think you created because you wrote, you acted, or starred in, you produced, and it's called Dropping the Soap.
It is.
That show is so hysterical, and along with you and Jane Lynch, I mean, you always surround yourself with the best people, it seems like.
I'm so lucky. I mean, I'm so grateful, and yes, thank you. We had a great time doing that, and Jane coming on board, was a game changer for us to get that done. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I did create it. It came out. I was taking a nap. I've told this story before, but I was just taking a nap, and I was trying to think of ways to create work for myself because as actors, we're always kind of with our hat in our hand and going in and saying, please, can you hire me? And auditioning. And I wanted a little more control. So I thought, I want to create something for myself. And what would it be? And I got together with a group of friends and I had this idea of like behind the scenes of a soap opera because I got my, first job as an actor. So I watched it then and had such a fondness for it. And those actors and those artists work so hard. And I just thought it was a world rife with possibility to kind of lovingly make fun of and also, pay homage to. So I got together with a group of friends and said, hey, what do you think? Do you want to try and do this? And so we did it.
And you did it well, too.
Thank you.
If y'all haven't seen it, you really need to. Hang on,
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Yes,
If
it
you
is.
have Amazon, you can see it on Amazon. I mean, you can find it other places too, I believe, like iTunes and Google Play, but I'm an Apple guy, so I don't have Google Play, but Amazon for sure.
Yeah, I just recently watched it on Amazon. It was hilarious.
Oh,
How do you and Jane Lynch, y'all have such great chemistry? I mean, y'all did this, then y'all done a few other small little short things since, but y'all are so great together. I mean,
I adore Jane, and she and I became fast friends, and I have so much respect for her. And she happened to see that I was starting this project, and I had got a friend on board to help with writing, and who's very talented. And so we started this whole process, and then I raised money, and we started shooting it. And Jane saw it and said, "Oh, this is really funny. I'd love to be in this."
wow.
So, I didn't ask her, and I never would have thought she would want to, be involved in it, but she liked it and wanted to play. And so the rest kind of just, it took some time, but it all kind of fell into place. And at one point, Lisa Kudrow was the producer on it in the beginning. And I just got to meet wonderful people and get wonderful people to come and play Missy Pyle, John Michael Higgins, Patrick Fabian, Mimi Rogers, Dot Marie Jones, like all of these great people came on. Diedrich Bader to play with us. And Ellie Canner was the director. And Ellie Canner's a friggin' legend. She cast Sex and the City and Friends. She was a great casting director and then decided to go into directing. We were lucky enough to get her to direct it. She's just amazing.
Well, you and Jane's relationship on it put me in the mindset of a show that she was on previously that I really loved. It was called Glee. And her and Will, her character and Will Schuster.
Oh, nice.
You all had that type of chemistry. You were just
thank you. That's so nice. I will have to pass that on. We just both really like each other too. And I think that was part of it. And to be kind of antagonistic in a way in the show made it really fun for us as friends. And just working with her is just also a masterclass. She's so good. People, I think actors all bring a certain something, that's very personal to them. And she just, the way she looks at things, her responses to things are so unique and so wonderful. And it's just fun to watch her play too.
Well, you both have such, what's it called? Rapport to where you don't really have to think about you're going to reply back. It just comes natural.
Yeah.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Improv. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. Your improv is spot on.
Thank you. Yeah. I would work with her on anything. Sorry if you hear my dog in the background.
It's okay. You'll probably see the curtain move. Mine sit on the other side of the curtain against it. Okay. So will we ever see any more from Collided Lives?
Never say never. It was kind of intended to be a first season. And we would have loved to have done a second season, certainly. But at the time, we just didn't have a lot of muscle behind us. And, we were independent. We weren't produced by Amazon. We were acquired by Amazon. And, there's such a huge market out there and so many different projects that I think we probably just didn't have a lot of muscle behind us. But I think we could go back, but I look at it now as a limited series because I kind of love the way it ends. And even at the time, I was like, even if we don't do a second season, I love it as a limited series because I really do like where it's left.
Oh yeah, I love the way it ended. I mean, I'm not going to say because I don't want to run it for anybody. But yeah, I mean, guys. If you've not seen it, you've got to see it. I know I found it on Amazon. Okay. You're such a great content creator. Where do you get your good ideas, your inspiration for content?
Thank you. Gosh, real life, like things that appeal to me. I work with, I have a couple of friends that I've written a few things with, Sean Wing and Mara Marini, and we've collaborated on stuff. Tim Wright, who played the stage manager, Frank. Mara played one of Jane's assistants in Dropping the Soap. We knew each other through a theater company in LA, all of us. And we just loved working together. So we wanted to collaborate together again. And so we've written stuff, and it usually is from life. Like I did a short film called A Play that's done really nicely on the festival circuit. And it's 9 minutes. I'm so proud of it. And it basically is, I don't know if you happen to see it, but it's basically, perhaps how some of us feel when we go and see our friends in plays or a cabaret or whatever. This happens to be a play, but it's kind of a dark comedy.
I did.
And Jane's in that too. She read that and she's like, oh, I want to play here. So I was like, yes. Please.
Actually, if anybody wants to see it, I think there's a link on your it's on your Instagram or your Twitter. There's a link to that. It's like a short of the
Oh
week
yeah,
version.
you're right. I think it's on Instagram. I mean, it may be on both. I'm really bad with social media, but it is on Instagram. It's called.
But I knew I had seen it. That's how I had seen it, and I knew that you and Jane had done more than just the soap show.
Yeah, and so I think that's where we all get our inspiration, right? It's just from life, things that appeal to us. So dropping the soap, I love behind the scenes stuff growing up. That I was obsessed with it. I'd read any book about any movie that talked about the making of. So that was a natural topic of interest for me. Seeing theater, and I love doing theater, and having the experiences we all had, like Mara, Sean, Tim, and I, of seeing some not great theater, and then what do you do when you want to support your friend and you go, but so it's just kind of a fun, simple idea that we just turned on its ear a little bit. And
it kind of put me in the mind of everyday life. I mean, your friends, you go, the outfit they're wearing or the hair, the style they've got, you may not like, you got to think, but you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's like what we all do when we're confronted, and it's just a humorous take on it. And it's been really fun. And we've written a couple of other things together, and we're working on another short that hopefully we'll shoot this spring. And it's because we love working together. You find your tribe, you find your people, and your people that have maybe a similar sensibility. And so I think most artists like to do that, work with their friends and people they connect with on that level.
And like I said, it shows to fans like myself, it shows to us the camaraderie. It seems like you can dig at that person a little bit harder, or come at that person a little bit harder, because you're friends, and at the end of the day, you're not really coming at
them. Interesting. Yeah, I had never thought of it like that, but yeah, sure, I guess. And I did a short with another friend of mine who I worked on Dropping the Soap with, and who a writer, Mandy Fabian, and she and I did a short called Killing Vivian. And that was based on a story that I came up with about my dog that was dying. And we are both, she and I both, even with Dropping the Soap, if you watch, we have kind of a sick sense of humor, very politically incorrect. So, my dog was nearing the end. And so we came up with this idea for this short that I did with Missy Pyle, again, who I've worked with a few times. And I'm really proud of that too. And I think that was Mandy's directing debut.
Okay.
So
yeah, you mentioned PC. PC's kind of the killer to me. I'm so paranoid about, I can't imagine being famous like you and the others and worried about being PC, because I just do this little show here and I still freak out about it.
It's funny. I think about that too sometimes, right? Like, we all have to be mindful, but I think I don't feel that threatened by it, because I don't have thoughts that I think would get me in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, I don't worry that I'm going to slip and say something really horrific, because I don't think horrific things. So I don't, you know what I mean? I don't think I do. More about myself, yes, but it's like, that's. So I don't worry about it that much. I usually feel like you can tell when someone is coming at something with a good intent, and just a sense of comedy. And then when something feels mean or punching down, I think as an audience we can tell the difference of that. So hopefully, not all, but hopefully most people can.
Well, see, I'm from the country, so we have certain slang things like "bless your heart" that are meant one way and people take another, and I'm afraid of something.
Oh, well, if someone gets offended by "bless your heart," then they need to go.
For sure. That was just what popped in my head. That was moderately mild to say. Well, you starred in a movie, and I'm going to ask you to say the name of it, because I said it in the beginning, but I've seen you on some other shows, how they mispronounced the name, and I want to make sure I was pronouncing it right. That's Amor.
That's Amor. Yeah.
I've been saying it right the whole time.
Yeah, because I think we're used to seeing Amore with an E, And
Yes.
to be honest, I'm too dumb to know the difference. But I imagine that it's one of those things that both are correct, Amor or Amore. And most likely there's a movie called That's Amore A with the E. So
Yes.
they had to get rid of the E so that they could have the title. That's my guess. I have no idea. But
Thank God
yeah,
I
it
said it
was so
right.
much fun. So much fun to work on.
I love that show. And admittedly, I'm not a huge rom-com fan.
Oh,
I love
really?
that one. I loved that one. Yeah, I say that my favorite movies are rom-com, but go
How
figure.
loud are you hearing my dog?
Not very much.
Okay.
I just, it's like she's outside or something, just
Okay. I'm
muted.
going to shut the window. Stevie. Okay. There. That may help a little bit. Sorry.
Now, Amore is a great show. I mean,
Yeah, it's
how did
fun.
that come about for you? Because I was so happy to see that you and Gregory Zarian both were on that show movie.
Yeah, that was a dear, super talented, wow, in so many ways, wears so many hats. Friend of mine, Christina Moore. She is a producer and an actress, and she does it all, man. She's a rock star. And she had reached out and asked if I'd be interested in being a part of this film. And she's married to John Ducey, who wrote the film. So I know both of them through, we have mutual friends. And they asked me to do this. And I was like, yeah, are you kidding? Come and play with you for a week or whatever? Yes. And then they very generously asked if I had anyone I would like to have play my husband, to throw his name in the ring. And I thought of Gregory because I adore him. He's such a sweetheart and so much fun to be around. I don't know how well you know him, but he's endlessly fun and funny and talented. And so I asked him to do it, or asked if he'd like to, and put his name over to them. And they said, absolutely, we love him. Let's do it. So
I'm glad you did, because y'all were great together in that movie.
Thank you.
How did you two get anything done? I mean, because
yeah, exactly. And honestly, the whole cast, Riley Dandy, Isaac Rossi, Nancy Lenahan, John Ducey was in it, Suleika Matthews, like all of these wonderful people, Daniel Mora. It was such a fun set. I couldn't believe we were getting paid. And Sean Piccanino was the director, and he's so cool and so talented, and just let us play and let all of us do our thing. And it was like this great little microcosm of a week of just endless laughter and playing, and also, working, obviously, but it was so great. That's not always the case. I mean, I've been fortunate that I've loved most of the jobs I've done, but that one in particular was just a dream set to be on. So much fun. Everyone was so kind and nice. Ali Afshar is the producer. It's a ESX Entertainment, and they've become very prolific in creating these films and kind of independently. Yes. And they're on HBO and Netflix. It's really amazing what they've done.
Well, this one was very good. The only really and it's not really a complaint, I just kind of felt like that you and Gregory's character should have been the ones to end up dealing with the ex, but yeah, I'm glad it went the way it did too, because it didn't end like you would expect it to either.
Yeah, well, I will pass that on.
In my mind, I was thinking,
spell a reshoot.
Well, in my mind, while I was watching, I was thinking, oh my God, they're gonna snap on this boy.
He was so funny too. Him too. He was great too. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he was wonderful. I think he was in soaps too, wasn't he?
God, I'm not sure. Let's see. I can bring it up, because I've got it right here. It wasn't Brian Craig, was it?
I think, yes. Yeah, the ex-boyfriend that she, oops, that happens in the beginning. I'm not ruining anything. But yeah.
No, it's not.
Hilariously funny and great looking. And
really what do you hope people take away from the show?
Because there's more.
Yes, because there's a lot of lessons in there, life lessons anyway. I felt there was.
What did you think was the biggest one that you took away?
To keep your mind open to any and all relationships, friends,
I
love,
love that.
interest, family,
I love that.
because it was
Yeah.
involved with you all. You all became new friends. Her mother made her do it as her partner as in the cooking. That's just kind of what
And
I
then
took away.
Nancy's character, the mother.
Yes.
And I think I would agree with you. I think that's a great way of looking at that, is that always be open. You never know where something's going to lead. And sometimes we become closed off and we become myopic in the way we look at things. And I like that. I'm going to steal your answer and go with that.
You can have it. Also, I mean, people get jaded in love.
Yeah.
And close herself off to love. And I'm personally not in a relationship, but I'm not closed off to it.
Right.
I'm open.
Yeah, I'm not in a relationship right now either, and I'm not closed off to it. But I will say, the older I get, I wonder if I want it.
Well, I don't know. We're about the same age. I think I'm a little older than you are.
39.
29. No. You got me by tick. No, I'm 50, fixing to be 51. And I'm
You look great.
content. I've got family, friends,
Well, exactly, right? Like, you build the life that you want to have. And I think as we get older, it starts to narrow what we require from other people, because we become so self-sufficient. And that's a blessing and a curse, right? I know it's the same for me too. Like, I become so self-sufficient that my need for a partner, probably wanes a little bit. And then the truth is, I would love to meet someone, but I don't know if I want to live with anyone.
Right. And you got to think, are they going to accept, your freedom that you've already, personally, I'm happy I don't have to say, honey, I'm going to go to a friend's house. I can just go. I don't have.
Yeah. There's something really nice about. I actually wrote a pilot that's about this very thing. That's about being single and middle-aged and finding your happiness. And does that really require a partner, or is it actually wonderful to be single? And the perception of that, and finding your family and your friends and your chosen family, which for me is my friends. So yeah, I love that as a topic too.
Well, I've been down the road. I was married, divorced. I've got 3 kids, grandkids.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Love, siblings, love. I'm pretty happy. I mean,
yeah, it sounds like your life is full. So, if the right person comes into your life, then you're open. That's good. I hope to be.
You will be.
My DMs are open if anyone.
And I'm not giving out his information, so you better go somewhere else.
This all of a sudden turns into Tinder.
Oh, that's funny. I was watching a replay of Jimmy Kimmel, and one of the people had his phone. He was like, "What's Tinder?" He's like, "Oh, give me my phone back."
Oh, that's funny.
You are also in a movie. I could not find it because I want to see it. I'm going to keep searching for it so I can watch it. Called The Comeback Trail.
Oh, yeah.
You worked with
you can't find it. It hasn't been released in the States.
Oh, has it not? Okay, that's
it has not. So that's why
everywhere.
It was released overseas. That was one of those projects. Man, what a dream project! The people I got to work with.
I mean, just 3 of them: Tommy Lee Jones, Morgan Freeman, and Robert De Niro. I mean, to work with one of them, that would be a dream.
Right? I mean, there was literally a moment where I was shooting a scene with Zach Braff, who's wonderful in this too.
He's great.
And Robert De Niro and Tommy Lee Jones, and I'm in New Mexico, Tehajali, New Mexico, on this beautiful cliff overlooking this vast, beautiful vista, and about to shoot a scene. And I, in my head, I'm just like, pinch me. Are you kidding me? Like, it was amazing. And that came because someone saw Dropping the Soap.
Really?
Yes. Randomly, where I work, someone's client had seen it, and her husband was George Gallo. Is George Gallo? My friend's name is Julie Lott Gallo, and she was so kind and she and her husband watched George Gallo, who directed Midnight Run, also directed The Comeback Trail. And they asked me if I was interested in doing this. So you never know where things come from.
See, if it was that, I'd probably say, and you're going to pay me for that?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
To hang out with, to meet Tommy Lee
Oh,
Jones.
yeah. Oh, right. And we,
like,
and I was shooting for a month in New Mexico. It was fantastic. And, it was supposed to come out right before the pandemic, or it was scheduled like kind of around the beginning of the pandemic. I think it was maybe summer of 2020 it was supposed to come out. So, that threw so many projects into kind of disarray. So I think there's something with distribution that they're working on for the United States release, but it was released overseas. And it's fun. It's a fun kind of throwback to the 70s movie. It's really fun. And they were all just a delight to be around.
I know that when people are on set, it's usually all about work, but I can't imagine overhearing any of their stories about past. I mean, that would just be phenomenal.
Oh yeah. And we're just seeing the way they work. That's
For
great
sure.
as an actor to be on a set with people like that. And Zach also, not only is he a really lovely guy and a great actor, but he writes and directs, and his eye for direction, like just the way his brain works.
Yes.
Like Jane was fascinating to watch and to be around. And it's just, to your point, you're going to pay me to be here? Yes, please.
Well, I'm going to switch to another subject that I think is kind of close to you. You're a huge advocate for the LGBTQ plus community.
Yes.
Do you feel that Hollywood's on the right path for more inclusion, or do you think there needs to be a lot more work?
I think two things can be true, and I think both of those things are true, right? I feel like so much has turned in our favor in some ways. I think back to when I was growing up, and MTV wasn't given a lot of credit for, I think, what is trailblazing. And The Real World with Pedro, I think was absolutely trailblazing. And I remember as a closeted gay man, seeing that and being very afraid because, it dealt with AIDS and it was sad and it was scary. But I think what it did is allowed a gay person into the home of someone that didn't have a gay friend and didn't understand the humanity, and who was such a lovely young man, and seeing the ravages of this disease. So I think that did a lot. I think shows like Will and Grace did a lot. There was so many great steps. I was leaving the gym in my neighborhood, and I saw, and this isn't West Hollywood, it's I live in the Valley, San Fernando Valley. This young gay couple holding hands, just walking down the street. I can't imagine seeing that 10 years ago even. So I feel like, yes, there's so much progress. I think the entertainment industry is really trying to embrace that. We get shows like Uncoupled and we got Bros, no matter what you think of it. We've had this content that is starting to come out. I think we need more. And I think perhaps if we shine the focus on something other than like, the gay men who have money and party and are perfect and have abs, and that's not my existence. So I would love for a shift, which is why, again, like I wrote my pilot, because it deals with similar things, but not that. So I think we've made a tremendous amount of progress, and I think there's so much more to go.
I can't think of the name of the movie, but I think we've just last year had our first leading gay couple movie, feature film movie. Bros, yeah. I think that was the first one ever.
The first studio, yeah.
Right.
The first studio film, I guess. I had seen other ones. I remember Dan Bukatinsky did one called All Over the Guy, and I thought it was wonderful. It wasn't a studio film, but so there are a lot of gay movies out there that came before Bros. I guess it was just that they weren't financed by a huge studio.
Right.
So
Well,
that's progress.
I'm not as big of an advocate as you are, but I am an advocate. I've got a couple of people who are very, very close to me who are gay. And like you said, the marriage part, one couple did get married probably about 10 years ago, but they had to go to New Hampshire to do it.
Okay.
And the other one just got married here in Kentucky just back in December, which I was glad that they were able not to have to travel. It was like just in 10 years, there was such a difference in which the first couple had to go somewhere to do it. And the second one was able to do it just within 10 years.
Yeah, and I think that younger people today, they don't care about that the way that my generation, I'm Gen X, I guess, Gen X. So they just don't care. They're so much more open and fluid, and it's just not thought of the same way. So I think that's enormous progress. But I do think there's more, there are other people that live in other states or other countries and neighborhoods that don't have the openness that perhaps we have here in LA. So there's definitely work to be done, but it's being done.
Oh, Kentucky is one of those states because it's a very red, and I'm not saying it has to do with political, but they're very older generations who see things the old way.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there are places in California. I'm sure if I went to Bakersfield, it wouldn't be as open. Nothing against, I don't know. I've never been to Bakersfield, but I know what you're saying.
But there, it still needs to be as far as community and government, there still needs to be a lot of work done. I'm glad to see Hollywood's trying to push. Well, I say Hollywood, but the theater celebrities are trying to push to make more inclusion. That is something I wanted to bring up because I know that's big for you, because I know you did a couple of plays.
Yes, at the LGBT Center in Los Angeles, and a lot of their proceeds, if not all, went to homeless youth and had outreach programs that were amazing. It was run at the time by John Imparato. He retired last year, but he was an extraordinary producer and advocate of the community. And it was, I worked there three, maybe? I can't remember, but it was a wonderful experience, and just seeing the outreach that they do and the benefit that, art has within the community, and expression and storytelling. It's so important.
I agree. Talking about Kentucky again, here in Owensboro, I saw somebody had posted that they were bisexual and that they felt lost because there's nothing for them here. No, right. There's not. And that upsets me. I mean, that somebody would feel that upset.
Well, and I think for bisexual, I think that's something that's even a more recent kind of burgeoning community that's looking for and should be accepted, because I think so often it was like, no, you're just gay. And so that people would assign this idea that it wasn't a real thing, and it absolutely is a real thing. There's a spectrum. And so I love that people are starting to open their minds to see, like, oh, it is possible. Like we've said a couple of times today, two things can be possible. Right. We become so single focused that I think we forget that, this is always the better focus. You see more.
And I'd say DC stepping up. They're going to be in production of a new Supergirl movie, feature film, which is the actress is a trans.
Oh, great. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great.
That really impressed me. A big company like that.
Yeah.
Okay, here we got to do something. I mean, I'm not a fan of James Gunn right now, but I'm a fan that he's doing that.
Of who? James
Gunn. He just took over DC.
Okay.
He went from Marvel to DC. I'm just not happy with him because he cut my Superman. But that's a different story.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm a huge Superman fan. Well, on that note, we touched on it a couple of times. How did you survive the pandemic?
Like we all did, just figuring it out. But I will say that there was so much good that came out of it in little ways. Like I redecorated my entire house. You can't really tell by what it looks like in here. But again, if the scope was open, so that was great. It made me take a look at my environment and to really attend to it and make it something that I didn't just like, that I loved. So
Right.
I spent time doing that with a very dear friend of mine who helped, and I spent a lot of time with myself. I will say that my world narrowed a little bit, which which I think is a blessing and a curse, right? I became more insular and with fewer
Right.
people, which I loved because I'm not a party person. I'm much better one-on-one, I think. But I also realize now, like, oh, I narrowed my world and I have to start saying yes and going out. I mean, I'm in sweatpants now, and it's like, I just threw on a sweater so that I didn't look like I was in my pajamas, but I'm basically in my pajamas. So, we've all been acclimating, I think, over the last whatever year or two, kind of getting back into the land of the living and work. And I, still work all the time. And
Well, I think you're just in proper Zoom uniform,
right.
sweatpants on the bottom or shorts. And then, yeah, I think you're just in proper uniform for Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. That's the great thing about Zoom. But it was, it was a challenging time, but I felt so lucky. I had my dog that you heard yapping earlier. So that was like a little companionship for me. And I had a few people that were like my core friends that I
Right.
spent time with. Even at the point when we couldn't be in a room together, we would go and have a picnic. And so it was this weird time that I think we all, obviously, that we all went through together and had to learn a different set of skills. And probably we all have some element of PTSD from that too. That,
Oh,
it'll
for
be
sure.
interesting to see how that manifests, like as far as our relationships, or maybe that's just me.
What happens in 10 years up the road, what's we're going to be like from it.
Right. But it also kind of back to what we were saying before, it taught me I'm really okay on my own, you know? Like that
It was
doesn't scare me.
it was an introvert's dream. So, I'm kind of an
Right. Are you an
introvert. So
introvert?
I was okay with it. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So exactly. But I hear that from a lot of people that I wouldn't even necessarily say are introverts. Like I'm probably an introverted extrovert or
You're a
an
forced
extroverted
extrovert.
introvert. I don't
You're
know
a
what it
forced,
is.
like me, I'm a forced extrovert.
Okay, yeah. All I know is when someone says, "Oh, do you want to come to this screening or this party?" and I always get a little anxiety.
Mhm.
It's like, can't I just stay at home and watch TV?
Your mind instantly says no, but then you're like, what do I
Yeah.
say?
And I always have fun. Whenever I say yes, I always have fun and meet interesting people. And yeah,
What do you think of the way it changed the audition process?
I love it.
Do
Love
you?
it. Never need to go in a room again. I love it.
See,
I think
I've
it
got
gave
to,
the actor so much more control. And I don't
yes.
even mean that you can do several takes. I just mean you don't have to drive over Hell's Half Acre here in Los Angeles and find parking and go sit in a waiting room. And it's it's just so much more actor friendly. We create, like, here's my my little drape. We have our ring light, and I love it. I think it's great. I'm not all actors agree with me, but I don't. I hope we never go back to in person.
No, there was the reason that some said no is because they were the ones that like to feel the room, the emotion, or what. That was the only reason I've ever heard anybody say no.
I think
They
some
didn't.
people really love to be in a room and charm people, and they have their rap and the way they interact, and they're very winning and charming, and people on the other side of the desk love them, and they're really good at that. That's part of their kind of salesman tool, which
Right.
is so important to have. And now that's less important. It's more about, do we like the scene you did? And I prefer that.
Right. It's much better over the quality of your work instead of your personality.
How you can charm a room. Yeah.
So what do you do during your free time?
I see movies with friends. I love going out to dinner. I'm not a big cook. Love taking my dog on walks. I've started enjoying going to the gym, which I never thought I would say. Um,
I
Reading,
would think you write a lot too, is just what I would think,
writing.
because you're
Yeah.
like me, you're a content That's
Well,
your thing.
I'm a really like kind of haphazard writer. Like I'll get an idea and I'll get on my phone and put it in my notes section and yeah, so whatever, kind of inspires me. And I love people watching. So sometimes I'll go somewhere and have lunch by myself or grab a coffee and just check people out. I think it's so fascinating. How
Me
about
and my
you? What do you
youngest
like to do?
Me and my youngest son used to do things like that. We'd go out and we'd just see somebody walk in and we'd just give each other a look and we'd know what the other was thinking. It'd be like, oh my gosh, do you see her hat? Or, oh my God, that type of thing.
That's funny.
Of course, he's 32 now. He don't want to hang out with me now. So
Oh, I bet he does. I bet he
it's
does.
just not cool. No, I'm TV, movies. I mean, obviously, because of what I'm
Right.
doing, but I've always been a TV person, even as a kid. Bionic Man, Bionic Woman.
Yeah. Well, even if I'm not watching TV, I do. I over the last I've always been a TV person, but more so in the last few years because of these streaming shows that you can kind of binge and get hooked on with a friend. Like during the pandemic, that was something that I started doing a lot more of. So yes, I love that too.
Yeah, the switching over. I'm Gen X also. You come from where you had to, if you missed it or didn't tape it on VCR, you don't get to see it again. And I didn't like the conversion to the computer thing, but I think it's kind of resisted it. But I like it now. I'm more of a, okay, when that season's over, let me know because I'll binge it all.
I loved like White Lotus, let's say. I love that show. And I loved that every week you'd have to wait because what I found that it does that we probably experienced growing up was appointment television, right? So you would see an episode and then the whole week you got to talk about it and analyze it and get excited about it. And it created this universal kind of excitement, I think, in amongst people, and it gave people something to talk about because they were all on the same timeline. So as much as I do sometimes like the idea of binging, I actually prefer having like a forced restraint and seeing it every week because I think it makes it interesting. I talk with friends and we all do about like, oh, who do you think's gonna die in the White Lotus? Or, did you see that scene with Theo James? You know,
White
so
Lotus is on my list.
oh, you haven't seen it?
My brothers have, and they're like, "You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it." And I'm like, "I will," but I got a
It's
list.
excellent. It's excellent.
Because she's great.
Oh yeah, Jennifer Cool. Yes, yeah.
Jennifer's
They all
great.
are. Everyone in the cast is great. Both seasons are excellent. And The Bear, and I mean, there's so many good shows on TV.
There really is. I'm a big Bay fan.
Oh yes, I know the guys who are kind of yes, Gregory Martin and Christos.
Gregory,
Yeah,
Christos, Wendy.
awesome guys.
Christos was just on here 2 days ago, actually.
Oh, nice. He's the sweetest human.
He is.
They both
He
are.
is.
And Gregory is great, who produces it and writes it, and he's like the ringleader.
I love
Gregory.
Gregory. I'm a huge fan. Jackie Zeman got me into that one.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I used to watch her on General Hospital.
See, your General Hospital was my guiding light.
Okay.
And I watched General Hospital off and on, but like I said, when we were younger, you couldn't watch more than one show at the same time.
Right. Well, I'd run home from school just to catch the last 15 minutes of General Hospital.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I played
2:45 to 3:00, I'd get to see like just that last little bit, which sometimes was enough because you got the gist, right? Because it was always some kind of cliffhanger.
See, mine was 2:30 to 3. It was guiding light. I was able to get home just in time to catch the last 30 minutes of it.
Love it.
I mean, I'll admit it. I stayed home sick sometimes to see what was going on.
Oh, I did too. I think with Luke and Laura's wedding, I was a real youngin', and I think I was like, I'm so sick, Mom. Because I wasn't going to miss that from 2 to 3 slot. Are you kidding me? No.
And that was the wedding to never miss. Even now,
it was history. Elizabeth Taylor was on. I mean, it was just stunning.
It was. Paul, do you have anything you're working on that you can share with us? Let's wrap us up with that one.
I just did a movie for that other company that I did That's Amore with. They asked me to do this kind of fun little thing in a Christmas movie that they shot called A Wine Country Christmas. So
Yes, I've heard of that's coming up. Did you already tape that?
yeah, they're still shooting it, but I just did I just did like a little fun cameo in it.
There
But it
again,
was
that's
just
gonna
great.
have
I love them all over there.
that's gonna have a lot of people in it too.
Oh yeah, Josh
Eileen,
Schwartzard is in it, Eileen
Eileen
Davidson.
Davidson, and
Yeah, lots of great people. All such a they just surround this ESX Entertainment, Ali Afshar, Christina Moore, all these people that are kind of at the helm of this. They just create these great environments for artists to come and play, work hard, but come and play and make these awesome little gems. So I did that. I'm actually up for something that I can't talk about, but I'll, we'll see if that goes through. And like I said, the thing that I wrote, and another thing I'm writing, just always kind of working on putting stuff out there and working with awesome people. And
so you're saying that you're giving us plenty to have to come back on the show for, right?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and hopefully if this year Comeback Trail is released too, which is so much fun. And
a viewer, Ken Sawyer, said hey to you.
Who did?
Watching Ken Sawyer.
Oh my God, he's a brilliant director. I've worked with him several times in
he's watching you right now.
Oh, is he? Hi, Dan. I've done several plays with him, but one of the most memorable that we did in LA, which kind of was a big hit here, it ran for a couple of years, was The Woman in Black. And it was actually turned into a movie, and it's a scary thing. And the play is amazing. It ran for like 30 years in London. And so we did the LA production here, and it ran, like I said, for a couple of years and won a bunch of awards. And Ken is just a genius. And I'm not just saying that because he's on here, but he is truly.
Well, we'll have to reach out to Ken and see if he'll come on the show too.
Oh, you should. You should.
Because the show's not just about people on screen, it's people behind the screen, because they're just as important as the people on the screen.
And oftentimes more.
Yes.
So, yes.
Well, like Gregory J. Martin, perfect example. He's been on the show, and he's behind the scene and very important in his role. So
that stuff wouldn't happen without him. He is really the driver of all of that.
Well, directors and people like that I want to also have on the encouraged to come on the show, because it's not just about being in front of the camera.
Right.
Thank you for.
It's so interesting to hear everyone's point of view. I love that.
It is. It is. Writers, like I said, Wendy will be on soon. Wendy Rich, she's a writer. She's not an actress.
Sure. Wasn't she the showrunner of General Hospital?
General Hospital, yes.
Exec producer, I guess. Yeah.
That's and she has a lot to add, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, I love that. I love that you give other people, other than just talent, in front of the camera an opportunity, because it is really fascinating to hear about what they do.
It is, and I think they're kind of hesitant to come on the show because they don't think it is, but in reality, to a fan like me, because I'm not in publishing or producing or anything like that, I'm just a fan, and I'm so fascinated by it.
Yeah, that's great.
Paul, thank you for being here chatting with me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Really, really was nice to talk to you and get to connect a little bit. I
do hope you'll come back. Remember that you can catch That's Amore on Netflix. If you'll hang out in the waiting room for just a minute, I'll be right back there.
I sure will. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again, Paul. I'd like to thank Paul for being here today and chatting with us. I'd like to thank the Necrotizing Fasciitis Foundation for sponsoring our show. For more information, you can visit www.necfash.org. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more